Hey guys, today I will show you the expansion cycle marker mod for Dayz expansion mod. Um, what will this mod do? It will draw cycles on the expansion map that you can set up. You can set up custom ones, and it will pull the trader zones locations from expansion itself, which you have set up. I will show you that in a second. And yeah, I will show you that now. So let's start. First, I will go to my Dayz server. Then I will go to my server profiles. There you can see it's already there, but I will delete that. And this is my test environment. So what I'm going to do now is I will start the server now with the mod loaded. So I'm going to press start Dayz server. This will then start the server. We go back to the folder. Then after it's loaded up, it will create a new folder, expansion cycle markers. We'll see that in a second. There it is. There we see the expansion cycle marker folder. Then we go in config expansion cycle marker JSON. So we load this up. I will zoom in a bit. Oh, that's too much. And yeah, here you can see it created already NBZ points. This means no build zone points. This will be renamed later, but these zones are your custom zones you can set up, right? So, and there are also trader zones. We pulled this trader zones from the expansion trader zones folder. Like if we go back to our server folder, then we go to Dayz server, and we go to MP missions in our missions folder and expansion trader zones. There are your trader zones, and in these trader zones there are coordinates and radius set for these zones. So we're going to open this in the test environment, and you can see it pulled Balota Aircraft Trader. It is Balota Aircraft Trader with these coordinates, right? And the radius 500. It did pull this correctly. You can also see this in your server log. I have it here in my Visual Studio Code. So MBZ file doesn't exist. This means the config file here wasn't there. It was created, as we saw, and it will create a default one. And then it loads the loaded trader zone from Balota Aircraft JSON. This is here, this one on the right side. Now, what we can do in here is like, this is fully custom. You can like copy these and set a comma and paste it in here. Set comma like this. Then you can change all this, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't get touched by anything. All right, but I remove this now. Then you can set up your zone radius for these zones, the color here with the alpha, red, green, blue. If this marker should have a 2D marker on the left side of the map, or if it has a cycle. Draw cycle. The cycle is the radius then, which is set here. And you can enable this by setting it to 1 or disable it by setting it to 0. Source file doesn't get touched. It is not used yet by the custom NBZ points. It is only used for the trader zones. So make sure if you change in the trader zones files of expansion something, it gets pulled again and it will update the correct zone. I will demonstrate this in a second. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, we going to delete this zone now, so we have a bit less zones. Then for the colors, there's a website you can use. This is the website I use, wfreeschools.com. You can change the color here, so, and then you have the color code here or right here. So for red we use 223. We paste this in red, 223. Then we use for green 29, and 86, and 86 for blue. So this zone, Chennai Polania, should have this color now as a cycle and a marker, right? And yeah, the alpha is how visible it is, transparency, like, so this is fully visible now. And we want to have it draw a cycle and a marker, just for demonstration purposes. Okay. Then if we go in here, trader zones, we can't change the zone position and the zone name and the zone radius inside here for each zone, because these properties get pulled from our JSON file in the server location trader zones JSON, right? So all we can change is the color. If it should have a 2D marker, draw cycle. Please make sure in the source file is actually the name of the source file. So Balota aircraft JSON, Balota aircraft JSON. This is to make sure that if we update this inside the trader zones of expansion, like this one here, now look here, we have 333. If you change that to 222 and here also to 222, and I don't know, put in 50 here and the radius 300. And if we then restart the server, it will update this zone, the position, the radius, and we can change also the name, Balota Trader, like, alright, so Trader, save that, and it will also update the zone name. So you can't change anything here except this part, right? And accept this, of course. This needs to be there. All right, so if this file gets generated first by for the first time, then everything is set to 0. Every enable 2D marker is set to 0 and every draw cycle is set to 0. So you won't see anything on the map. This is to make sure if you have black market or any trader you want to hide from the players, you can set it so that it is 0 and 0 for the cycle and the 2D marker, so the player can't see anything where it is. If you want to have the trader visible, just use 2D marker and draw cycle, and it will draw a cycle and a 2D marker for this. So for the Balota aircraft trader, we changed that to 1-1, and for the Green Mountain trader zone, we just want the 2D marker and no cycle drawn. And for the test zone, we have both also. So what we're going to do now is I stopped the server now. Okay, it's stopped. And now watch closely, because these three properties will be pulled from the mobs and merged to this zone here. So it's updated. So let's start the Dayz server. Right. And we had 333, 100, 333. Right? And Balota aircraft trader. Now if we wait a second until the server is loaded up, we will notice that it will load up. Right? So you see, it's now renamed to Balota Trader. Balota Trader. Zone position is the same as here. And of course, the zone radius also changed. And yeah. Also, if you delete by accident any of these here, it will be regenerated by default with default values on server start. So it should be always there. And yeah, now I will show you how it looks in game. I will start the Dayz client now. And in the script log of your server, which is for me down here in my test environment, if you scroll up, you can see expansion cycle markers mbz config file exists. So it's loaded. Then it loads the expansion trader zone JSON files. And then it does merge them into our config file of our mod here and sets up a server-side RPC. Now if the player joins the game, like I do now, and the player opens the map, the client sends a request to the server to get the config file from the server, and the server sends the config file. So let's make sure I have my audio disabled so you can hear me better. All right, so we are in game now. What we're going to use now for the map, and you see here already Shania Polania, and it's the same color as we did set up here on the website. And if we click here now, it jumps to this position, and there's your cycle, right? So Balota Trader, we have both the marker and the cycle. Green Mountain, we have only the 2D marker but no cycle, as we did set it up here, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it, I would say. And of course, you won't see any of these which got pulled from the Trader Zones folder, because they are all set to 0 for 2D marker and draw cycle. As said, this is to make sure your black market trader doesn't get leaked or any other trader. You have to first start the server, create the config file, which will be generated by default. Then close the server, go to that config file, change the enable 2D marker or draw cycle to 1 if you want to display them, and then start the server again, and will then show the stuff in game. Right, yeah, that's pretty much it. Sometimes if you already use the mod and you have MBZ zones empty, for example, like so, it will not create default zones if you start a server. This is to make sure nothing gets changed in your custom zones config, right? So all you can do now is like copy this trader zone as first zone, then remove that comma, for example, rename it, change the zone coordinates, the radius, and all this shit. And then the source file, we don't use source file for the MZ zones yet, so this can be empty, right? And that's it. And make sure you have to change these and the color, of course. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I would say. Yeah, I can show you also the client logs, of course. But there's nothing you will see like the client logs down. There's only one log here. Expansion cycle marker client side RPC initialized. Right, so if you scroll more down, and then here you can see in called map widget was initialized successfully. This means every time we press, we make sure we get the config. I will change that also later. So we did press the map and we press it again, and there you will see it generates these prints again. Right, this is just to make sure it works, and this will be changed later. All right, so that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, just comment on Steam Workshop for the mod. Maybe rate the mod or like the mod. That would be sick. This is my first mod I created, so yeah, every comment, every like, and every rate, I'm thankful for. Right? Okay, see you next time then. Have a nice day.